So I think the last part of the negotiation was like, could you guys just come up like $200 a week, $100 a week, just to make us feel like we're getting? And they were like, no. And I said, okay, I'll see you Monday. So I've done 6 projects with a writer-director named Jeff Wadlow now. The first one was a Netflix feature called True Memoirs of an International Assassin. It was an action comedy. And he hired, he interviewed me on a recommendation and hired me, and we had a great time, just a great working relationship. He then called me and said, hey, listen, I'm doing a Blumhouse movie. It's really low budget. I think it was a $4 million budget. They can't afford you. I would love to work with you again. Totally understand if you don't want to do it. In fact, they don't want you to do it because they have an in-house editor that they pay all the time anyway, and so I totally get it. My answer was like, I want to work with you again. Like we had a really good time. Like I really enjoyed working with this guy. I said, so let me try to make it work. And I, my agent and I started negotiating. They offered me at the time a third of what my rate was. And we went back at my rate, and they offered me that same number, and we went back at a couple $1,000s a week less, and they came back at the same number. And ultimately they were saying what Jeff had said, like, we don't want Sean to do it. We have somebody we're already paying. So I think the last part of the negotiation was like, could you guys just come up like $200 a week, $100 a week, just to make us feel like we're getting? And they were like, no. And I said, okay, I'll see you Monday. So I did it, and it was a movie called what was that movie called, guys? It's the one I don't have a poster for here. It was called Truth or Dare.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up being called Blumhouse's Truth or Dare because there was a Madonna movie.
Madonna, yes, I thought that was the movie that you worked on.
Nope, it was not.
Different.
And so we had to change the name to Blumhouse's Truth or Dare. But so, my experience after getting over the fact that I was like doing this for nothing, which took me a couple of days once I started, and then just deciding I'm in it, like this is what I'm doing. I made a decision to do this. I got to put everything I got into it. And it ended up being an amazing experience, and I'm so grateful that I did it, even though they weren't paying shit. Because for 2 reasons. One is it was spectacular. I had worked with Jeff, who I think the first thing we did was like a $65 million budget, and he did an amazing job with that movie. But to see what he was able to accomplish on $4 million, it did not feel like a $4 million movie. With him, it always feels bigger, much more scope than you can imagine on 4 million. Great cast. It was a lot of fun, that movie, and a lot of fun to work on. And in the process, I fell in love with the current administration of Blumhouse post-production people. There were Tim Albertson, who was that brilliant sort of in-house Blumhouse editor, was there cutting whatever he was cutting, and all the assistants. They have this kind of system of they hire interns, and then they move them up to PA, and then second assistant editor, and their in-house editorial staff, and just spectacular people. And I, to this day, I'm on a text chain with that group of 10, 12 people that continues to grow. So I made a lot of really good friends and creative confidants in that experience, because Wadlow shoots a ton of footage, and I may have talked about this last time, but mathematically, I can't keep up to camera if I'm watching every inch of everything that is shot, right? So I'm behind on editor's cut. Super low budget movie. We're not hiring another editor to help. So I went out to the bullpen and I was like, anybody want to cut some scenes? Like just throw some stuff together and just so I have something to start with. And like all these like assistant editors who were really kind of talented editors and people just started throwing in and it became this amazing like collaborative situation. So that was my first experience on a Blumhouse project.